How bond mutual funds manage investor flows. When meeting redemptions, fund manager actions are guided by market conditions, expected investor flows, and other factors. A fund might decide to sell some of its holdings to raise the cash needed to fulfill redemptions, but its choice of which particular securities to sell may depend on market conditions. For example, during a market downturn with liquidity at a premium, some fund managers might seek to add shareholder value by selling some of their fund's more liquid bonds, which, being in high demand, are traded at a premium to fundamental value. Other fund managers may conclude that it is necessary and appropriate to sell a representative slice of their fund's entire portfolios. Bond mutual fund managers have other ways of meeting redemption requests. For example, a fund might already have cash on hand, or the fund may use cash that bond mutual funds receive each day in the form of interest income from bonds held in the portfolio, proceeds from matured bonds, or new sales of fund shares. In addition, bond funds may use derivatives or hold liquid assets other than cash. For example, a high-yield bond fund might hold some portion of its assets in equities because equities are very liquid, and the return profiles of high-yield bonds and equities can be similar. Derivatives can be more liquid than their physical counterparts, and funds are required to segregate liquid assets to support their derivative position. As these positions are closed, the cash collateral provides a ready source of liquidity to meet redemptions. This is especially true for many of funds commonly called liquid alternative funds, as these funds are explicitly designed to allow frequent investor trading and do so in large measure through the use of derivatives. Long-term demand for bond mutual funds. Despite outflows in 2022, bond mutual funds have received 1.7 trillion in net cash flows and reinvested dividends in the past decade. A number of factors have helped contribute this long-term demand for bond mutual funds, including demographics. Older investors tend to have larger account balances because they have more time to accumulate savings and take advantage of compounding. At the same time, as investors age, they tend to shift towards fixed income products. Over the past decade, the aging U.S. population has boosted the flow of bond funds. And there's a little graph that shows that net inflows through the past decade have been quite high. Bond funds. James Bond funds. The popularity of target date mutual funds has also contributed to a strong demand for mutual. The popularity of target date mutual funds has also contributed to a strong demand for bond mutual funds during this period. Target date funds invest in a changing mix of equities and fixed income investments. As the fund approaches and passes its target date, which is usually specified in the fund's name, the fund gradually reallocates assets from equities to fixed income investments, including bonds. Over the past 10 years, target date mutual funds have received net inflows of $405 billion. At year-end 2022, target date mutual funds had total net assets of $1.5 trillion. Investor interest in these funds likely reflects their automatic rebalancing features, as well as their inclusion as an investment option in many defined contribution DC plans. These long-term factors, combined with mostly positive annual returns on bonds and inflow from portfolio allocation strategies, have caused mutual bond fund total net assets to increase from $3.4 trillion at year-end 2012 to $4.5 trillion at year-end 2022. However, long-term mutual funds share of bond markets, most of which is held by bond mutual funds, has stayed relatively stable in recent years, whereas a lot of mutual funds have decreased in recent years. That's not in the book. That's me. I read the book earlier. Finance. Hybrid mutual funds. Hybrid funds. All right, actually, give me a second so I can answer the homework. However, hi, welcome to IHOP. You are taking the training video to be a hostess. Hybrid mutual funds. Hybrid funds, also called asset reallocation funds or balanced funds, invest in a mix of stocks and bonds. This approach offers a way to balance the potential capital appreciation of stocks with the income and relative stability of bonds over the long term. This approach offers a way to balance the potential capital appreciation of stocks with the income and relative stability of bonds over the long term. The fund's portfolio may be I can publish in my own notes. Doing my homework. Changing my major to Joan. Changing my major to sex with Joan. Changing my major to sex with Joan with a minor in kissing Joan. Born studies on Joan's inner thighs. Familiarize myself with her well-made outline while she researches mine. Try to feel like Hercules. Oh God, that sounds ridiculous. I'm looking at it. I'm calling down. I'll live on the dignity, but who needs dignity? Cause this is so amazing. I'm radiating happiness. Will you stay here with me for the rest of the semester? We won't eat any food. We'll live on sex alone. Sex with Joan. Back to hybrid mutual funds. The fund's portfolio may be periodically rebalanced to bring its asset allocation more in line with prospectus objectives, which could be necessary following capital gains or losses in the stock or bonds market. Over the past 8 years, investors have moved away from hybrid mutual funds, which had been a popular way to achieve a managed balanced portfolio of stocks and bonds. In 2022, hybrid mutual funds had a net outflow of $103 billion, or 5.7% of their net assets at year-end 2021. Many factors have likely contributed to this change. For example, investors may be shifting out of hybrid funds and into portfolios of ETFs that are periodically rebalanced, often with the assistance of a fee-based financial advisor. In addition, investors may be shifting assets toward target date funds as an alternative way to achieve a balanced portfolio. And there's a graph that shows that cash flow has been decreasing, I think. Growth of other investment products. Outflows from some long-term mutual funds over the past decade reflect a border shift, driven by both investors and retirement plan sponsors towards pooled investment vehicles. This trend is reflected in the outflows from actively managed mutual fund and the growing index mutual funds, ETFs, and collective investment trusts, CITs, since 2007. Index mutual funds, which hold all or a representative sample of the securities in a specified index, are popular among investors. What does that mean? I don't know. And I have a pretty good grasp on most of my finance homework, but this learning about mutual funds from this specific textbook makes no sense. They don't explain anything. I don't know what these mutual funds are, different wise, to know why it matters what the trends in them are. They're all the same. They're all mutual funds. So what makes them different? What matters about it? What's the difference? Why would you invest in one over the other? And that's not really what I'm learning. I'm learning about statistics that are 2 years old, which isn't that old, but it's kind of old. It's and it's not selling me either. It's decreasing. Interest is getting higher, and the amount of money held in mutual funds is decreasing. So it's are you telling me to invest in mutual funds? Is there a reason to? Is it changing now? And so you're showing us the changing statistics. Can I get a thesis here for this dumbass chapter, some stupid ass book? Whatever. Of households that owned mutual funds, 48% owned at least one index equity mutual fund in 2022. As of year-end 2022, 517 index mutual funds managed a total net assets of $4.8 trillion. For 2022 as a whole, investors added $37 billion in net cash flow to these funds. Outflows from index world equity mutual funds, $3 billion, were more than offset by inflows due to index domestic equity mutual funds, and index bond and hybrid mutual funds, 36 billion and 5 billion respectively. And there's another graph that shows that it dropped in 2020. Interesting. Index domestic equity. All right, I hit the 10-minute mark. I'm not doing this anymore.